Hello and welcome to Global Honors Screencast for the week of March 8th through the 12th. This is week 25. It's hard to believe that we are almost at 1 year since everything seemed to shut down with COVID. But this week we'll be continuing along with classical civilizations. We'll be heading over to India, where we will study the Mauryans and Guptas. Specifically, the Mauryan Empire will begin with a guy named Chandragupta Maurya, and he'll have a grandson named Ashoka. And Ashoka will be famous for a battle that he entered into to try to expand the empire, where at a little town called Kalinga, and 100,000 people would die and perish at the battle. And upon seeing that, actually, Ashoka's first battle would also be his last because he was devastated at the violence, couldn't believe at the loss of life. And through his teachings and studies of Buddhism, he would then preach a nonviolent empire and have a great impact on the people of India, of course. But it would be some 500 years later where the Gupta Empire would emerge by a guy named Chandragupta II, and this is no relation to the first, so I'll just call him CG2. And he is separate from the Mauryan Empire, but long story short, they'll be famous for a lot of different things. And we'll see in this week's activity along with the golden age of the Guptas. So let's take a look together at what we could expect this week. I'm first going to go over to our course in Schoology, tap on Marking Period 3. Your teacher should have set up for you in week 25 the self-paced folder. And inside that folder, we'll see that there are a couple of different items. So first is the homework number 8 and also number 9. I'm going to tap on the two attachments, and I just want to point out to you that as you download these into your Notability note, you know, there's a little bit of a text issue. So as I tag this over to Notability, I just want to show you how you could fix this. And I've already done it once, but one of the things that you'll see is that the naming is going to get kind of wonky here. So as you add in this note, you'll have a chance to change it. And you can see I've already done this, and I'm putting it in a particular folder here to keep myself organized. But this is a good chance for you to change the naming from whatever this transfer title has become. So I'm just going to cancel that back because I've already done it. But long story short, here is the basically a chapter brief. This assignment on is getting us oriented to the Mauryas and Guptas, and it's really just a couple of paragraphs here. That's a quick read, and looking to see if we can do some compare and contrast. And then here it is, CG2, Chandragupta II, with the Gupta Empire, a little bit on him, and then a couple of questions at the end. I've also blended the second attachment. So if I hop back over to Schoology, you'll see the second attachment is going to be a textbook section from the World History text. This is not the this is not the AP World History text. So you'll see this is a little bit easier to read. But when you send this over to Notability, just go ahead and blend that right in with the same note. So here you'll see, I'm just going to scroll through and you'll see. And again, I'm hoping that you are annotating your readings using the theme colors from the AP World History theme. So when we think about theme number 1 is about geography, you should be using brown. When we use theme number 2, which is about beliefs and cultures on religions, that should be red. Anything with theme number 3 is about political systems, so that should be blue. Theme number 4 is economics, which is green. Theme number 5 is social structures and setups with gender roles is all going to be orange. And then theme number 6 is about technology. So we'll talk about using color number purple, excuse me. So as I'm going through, you'll see how my thinking is going. So here's just a quick example of what we would expect you to highlight as you're going through this chapter or paragraph. Has a lot to do with political structures and a little bit here with economics. But as you go through the reading, you can even see here, this is when Ashoka begins to take on the ideals of Buddhism. So I wrote that in red, but then I highlighted it in blue, and I'm thinking to myself, this is basically a theocracy here. So good readers are going to do that. They're going to make those connections, and we're hoping that you're beginning to do that as well. I'm just going to scroll down to the last page where you can see we've blacked out several of the questions. Our expectation is that you will answer the questions number 1, number 3, number 6, and number 8. So you could skip the others. You can see I've blacked out these so that they don't distract me. And I'll go through this slowly. You could even press pause if you want. But for the terms, here are the different terms that we're expecting you to have some idea about by the time this chapter is over. So the Mauryan Empire, Ashoka, religious toleration, Tamil is a language, the Gupta Empire, a couple of more familiar words, patriarchal and matriarchal, are asked to identify as well. So this is just a straight up definition activity. But then later as we go through questions 3, 6, and 8, and I want to point out that in questions 6 and 8, these are possible answers that you might give. And the question is, what might one think about each, what might be good about the ideas in the 3 different empires or the 3 different rulers. And we'll see that Chandragupta Maurya, he tried to control things. He was kind of a spy about things and really got, he was a tough ruler. Ashoka believed in nonviolence, and Chandragupta, CG2 of the Guptas, promoted the flowering of the culture, and things really blossomed. You'll see again in the Golden Age activity, particularly with mathematics and the concept of zero. And question number 8, some of the possible answers, again, which one would you have rather been in, or which one would you think that people would want? And there's good answers for both. The Mauryans, of course, their policies around toleration, that's with Ashoka and nonviolence. But the Guptas really are going to help the opportunity around trade. And this unit also highlights the beginning of our conversation around the Indian Ocean Trade Network. So to that point, the second activity, which is going to be, let me go out to Schoology, which is homework. I have it labeled as homework number 9 for marking period 3. Your teacher might have it just a little bit different, but this is going to be a packet, something that we're fairly familiar with. The museum walk that we've done in the previous 2 golden ages with the Greeks and the Romans will be copied here. So as we go through this, you'll see that they do have, I'll just point this out, they do have an extra copy of the graphic organizer. So if you don't have this from the previous units, then you can get a fresh copy here. But as we go through this, there are some video links that we'll click in on. You'll see here, and I'll point this out in a second when I go to the other page. It continues here, and we're just asking for 3-minute segments from that. So go ahead and download that into Notability as well. I'm going to toggle over to Notability, and I will get the Gupta Golden Age page. And I'll just scroll up, I'll just scroll up to the top where we'll go through the different questions here with this is just definitions really, and trying to figure out how to bring it all together to make connections. And then Golden Ages is an important thing for us to study. So why are we spending time here in March studying the Mauryans and Guptas, for example? So as I scroll through this, you'll see the Exhibit A and B, and I just want to scroll down to the math piece because there is a bit here that I want to point out that I think is worth mentioning. So here we have there's a video link, okay, that I'll click on. This is going to talk about the concept of zero or nothing, and it's kind of interesting because a zero is drawn as, a circle with no corners. So I want to point it out that there's other developments here with our numbering system. Oftentimes it's called the Arabic numerals, and it's credited with Muslim traders and merchants, but the idea certainly came from the Indians. So I want to show you, I'm going to zoom in, how they went from using words to talk about counting to actual numbers. It was much more efficient. So I'm going to change colors so that you could see a little bit. What they did was they basically started counting angles. So mathematics is a big deal, but the number 1 has only 1 angle. A number 2, as drawn the way I have it, has 2 angles. And then 1, 2, 3 angles. And a number 4, they have to get clever. So I'm just going to start using dots. 1, 2, 3, but then there's this other angle for number 4. Number 5 has 1, 2 on the inside, 3, 4, and then they had to put a little tag here to make the 5th angle. So now we have a little bit more of a belly when we draw number 5. Number 6 was boxier to begin with, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's easy, but then there's 5 and 6. Number 7, ever wonder why they have that little line going across? It was to count the angles. So you could probably see very quickly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and there's number 7. Number 8 is simple with the boxes. Number 9, certainly we're getting a little bit more of a rounded symbol, but we've got 4 interior angles plus 5, 6, 7, 8, and look at number 9 is snuck in there. So I thought you might enjoy hearing a little bit about the Arabic numeral system and how some of that came to be. And of course, our writing system was a little bit more fluid with curves, but originally it was counting angles. I hope you enjoyed that. Your job on this piece is to go through and watch a couple of these article bits, or video clips rather, excuse me. And I'll also point out on the graphic organizer page, you might remember this, my first download was back in early February, but here's week 25. So we are now looking at the Gupta Empire. We haven't done the Han Dynasty yet. This will happen next week as we begin to study China. But week 20, week 22, you could see Greece and Rome, a few different things from our previous activity. So eventually we'll have all 4 rows completed with the classic civilizations that we've been studying. I hope this helps. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to email your teachers, and we'll see you soon.